Hi there, it's Kevin with the Rogue Market. Here with a market discussion surrounding Pioneer and how it has cannibalized the rest of Magic. So this is going to be a discussion about the health of the secondary market, maybe just even the health of the game, and why I think there's a couple of indicators that makes me think that Magic as a whole has gone down in value, not up in value, and that's a concerning sign for the game. Now, I think there's three major factors that have contributed to the price of Reserve List, the price of Commander, the price of Modern going down in price. The first major one is Pioneer. So Pioneer has hit the gates running, and people have moved a lot of their equity into Pioneer, both the sellers as well as the players. And we see this on MTGO every time when there's like a modern PTQ or a new standard set, how those particular hotness, whatever the new set is, will cannibalize the other formats. So when standard rotates, people sell out their modern cards to try to get the new standard cards. When standard becomes dull or there's a modern PTQ or some sort of modern challenge that's coming up, then people cannibalize their standard cards to build modern decks. This happens at an almost instant pace on MTGO, and the paper lags behind a bit, but what we're really seeing is now the huge effect of Pioneer that is having on people cannibalizing their Commander and their Modern and even to a point standard cards, and especially Reserve List or Legacy cards, to participate in this Pioneer format. So Pioneer sealed product has also gone through the roof. It's very hard to find booster boxes in that $90 to $100 range for years and years and years. Return to Ravnica forward, with the exception of a few sets like Kaladesh, Battle for Zendikar, and Dominaria, most of the sets could still be had for under $100. Now we're only looking at a few like Shadows over Innistrad that you can still get under 100, and even sets as recent as Rivals of Ixalan are pushing that $100 mark for these sealed products. So there really is a robust Pioneer scene. It's a good indication for the format as the market has responded. And if you basically click on any card that sees play in Pioneer, you can see a double up, a triple up, a quadruple up, even 10 times the price of some of these cards. And that's what happens when a card doesn't see play in any format and all of a sudden does find a home in a very popular format. But like I said, I don't think that the gains in Pioneer have really made up for the rest of Magic the Gathering in general. So there's a couple other indicators we have besides just the singles market crashing. I think one of the other reasons that is leading towards the modern cards going down, the reserve list cards going down, is too many products. So Wizards of the Coast continues to release these premium products, these collector's editions, these mythic editions, these fear of missing out sets that I better purchase these, otherwise I won't be able to get in on this. And I don't know if it's sustainable. They've just put way too many products out. It doesn't seem like there's an end in sight. I know I've said this in years in the past, and the market's been able to absorb it. But now with all of the Pioneer sealed products that are competing with these other products, I think that we're just headed for disaster as far as just too many products. In my opinion, I think Wizards of the Coast should just step back a bit, let some breathing room for the market to recover, and then we can start to see some gains and also make it worthwhile to then print more products. Theros is going to have Commander decks that come out, and I'm assuming they're not just going to be standard based, otherwise they call it Brawl. So there's going to be a lot of reprints there. We have the mystery packs. We have the secret layer that's coming out. Just so many products are entering the mix in Magic the Gathering, and it's quite worrisome for an already dwindling Legacy and Commander and Modern singles market. So let's just give some examples of these cards. So if we come over here and look at just the Modern staples, you can see this adjusts every time there's a banning on MTG Goldfish. What they do is they reset what they call the Modern staples. This happens every couple months, and then so the prices won't be, you can't compare like this price to a month ago because they're gonna use a different list of cards to generate this total format price. But you can see when they did reset it, though, it's gone from 4,528 all the way down to about 4,355. So a little bit, I mean, that's significant. This is a significant drop, but if you click on many of these cards, like staples like Liliana of the Veil, it also starts to paint another picture that it's just been a downward spiral here, especially since Pioneer's coming down from $80 to about $74. And a bigger indicator of this is then looking at places like Card Kingdom that are actually underselling the TCG market price for Modern staples. Now, Card Kingdom, I've speculated for a long time, is automated. So when they're not selling cards, what they're their automation software does, it just continues to decrease the price, decrease the price, decrease the price until it does hit that sweet spot of where the card is selling. There might be a bit of user interface here where there might be a market person behind this that's setting the prices, but in my opinion, that's how Card Kingdom works. So it's a good indication of where the market is going. So Card Kingdom being at $64.99, the cheapest on the internet for Liliana, plus only purchasing the Liliana for about $36, is a pretty bad indicator of Modern, and you can do this with virtually any cards. There will be a few ones like the swords that are still having some residual buying for people that are making the Stones for Mystic deck. I think Snapcaster Mage was another one that was now starting to recover, because now people are like saying, okay, maybe this is the time to buy in to these cards when they are at their low. And that's sort of the discussion for this video, is how much faith do we have in a recovery in February? So last year we saw a massive recovery. It's so weird with Magic the Gathering as far as when the markets are going to be boom bust, because there have been seasons or years in the past where the Christmas season has been the good bull market for singles. And then there has historically been the tax refund is a good time for MTG singles. And then we've also seen like fall be extremely potent for even Modern and Commander. And so you always have to try to predict when we will see it. So that's the kind of the million-dollar question, is if all of these cards are worth reinvesting in. If we've hit the low now, if Pioneer is going to cool off and it's hit the low, if now is the time to invest in Modern, Reserve List, Legacy, Commander, Staples for an anticipation for February, March. That's not too far off. It's only a few months. It's funny how in the world of MTG Finance, people are so short-sighted. They don't understand that 4 months is just 4 months away. I mean, it's a here and now, and the sky's either falling or you have to purchase it. It's crazy how people don't have any sort of patience or future sight for where things will end up and how it's so cyclical. And that's, if you're in MTG Finance, what you should really be aware of is there are givens in Magic the Gathering. There will be cooling off periods and there will be recovery periods. And if you treat this just like stocks, you can actually make out pretty good in the singles market. So again, that is the million-dollar question. Where is the low for the Modern staples? So it is quite grim though, and I think that that's just another just reality of the Magic the Gathering secondary market, is that when they create new ways to play the game, it isn't just going to increase the prices in those. It's going to cannibalize other formats. Now, I thought Modern would be a lot better off, but maybe it's just been so stale that people just are so excited about Pioneer they could just care less about Modern. So that's my question to you. Do you think that Modern is going to recover, Legacy is going to recover, or is Pioneer just going to be the new future? I think it's going to be a mix of both. I don't think that we're going to see the good hoorah days of Modern being probably the best format to invest in for long term, because those were always a given. A card would be reprinted like Path to Exile. You could get back in on it and go back up. Speaking of like Path to Exile or like Lightning Bolt, this is a pretty bad indicator of Lightning Bolt. So Lightning Bolt historically is one that gets reprinted every few years. It did get another reprinting this year, but you can see this card has been actually going down for quite some time now. It's Pioneer hits, and then it's dropped from about $3 to $2.50. And this is the most played card in the Modern format. I get that it's a common and it's been printed a bazillion times, and it actually just had that GP promo, so people were replacing their Lightning Bolts they had in their decks with the GP one and then selling these off and whatnot. But still, this was the good old years of Modern. And there were some reprintings of Lightning Bolt in this trajectory that's still going up. And there has not been a significant reprint of Lightning Bolt in this trajectory going down. So take that for whatever it's worth with Modern. Now, it's beyond just Modern, though. If we go over to just the reserve list, you can come down here in these mid-tier reserve list cards, and you can see that these also have been either very, very stagnant or have been going down in value. So let me see if I can find one that I noticed went way down the other day that I consider a huge staple in the Commander format. So here's a good example too. So Copy Artifact has this awesome trajectory. It's got some price correction here for when it just went through the roof. For this reserve list buyout here, this is a big time period for everyone buying in reserve list cards. That had some price correction here, but if you actually take the trajectory, it corrects itself, and then continues where it naturally should have been. And we get to hear about this Throne of Eldraine release and about now where we consider this Pioneer release, and we've just had a free fall for Copy Artifact. What was the white card that I was looking at not too long ago? The one that goes and tutors up a card after it dies. It's gone down quite a bit because I remember it was at $90, so now it's not even around this. Anyway, let's look at another one, for example, some of these other staple ones. And yep, here we go again. So we got the trajectory that's been going up, and then right about here, it's going down. So Modern and Reserve List are on this. You can come over here too to Legacy Staples. This is another one that was very, like, Surgical Extraction, I gotta admit, has a couple of things not going for it. A, it's not nearly as needed as it once was in Modern with the banning of Faithless Looting. So, of course, that's going to be adjusting the Surgical Extraction price because Modern was the format that was playing it the most. Now, Tron is kind of the boogeyman deck where you have to either worry about burn in Tron rather than these graveyard-based decks. But still, a card that sees a lot of play in other formats has had a massive freefall once again around this Throne of Eldraine and once again with the Pioneer format. If we look at some of these other cards from the Legacy format, we can see very similar trajectories from them. Let's just take a look at Lion's Eye Diamond. Lion's Eye Diamond was one of these cards that just increased. It's had some price. It went back up here for a buyout, and it does look like it has had some price adjustment, but it's still indicating that this card is going to continue to go back down. We could actually see this go down to its lowest in 2 years here if it continues this trajectory. You're welcome to even try this out for any Modern card. Come over here to Tron. Tron's one of the most played decks, and we can even see like even more of the stable cards. You think that this card after the banning would go crazy because now Wormcoil Engine is played in the number one deck, and it's actually trending downwards. If we even click on cards that see, most of these cards are tough to gauge because they see play in Pioneer as well, but Ancient Stirrings, which is not a Pioneer card, it's also dipped. Just across the board, we're seeing a massive dip. So again, that's the kind of the question I want to pose out to everyone on the comment section is this trend going to continue? Where are you sitting personally with your secondary singles market purchases? Is it the time to start pulling the trigger on the Legacy staples, on the Commander staples? Because you can do this with Commander too. You can basically click on any card out of Atraxa, which Atraxa has been the bread and butter for investments because there's a lot of overlap between Muldrotha, Marin, and Atraxa. So if you find a card that kind of fits that holy trinity of the most played Commander cards, historically those have all had great trajectories. They've just been going up slightly over time as more Commander players play or build those specifically popular decks. Those cards have also been trending down. So that's the million-dollar questions. Is this going to stop? Is the bleeding going to stop? And if so, when is the time to get in before the tax return season or after or whatnot? So that's the question I like to pose. Anyway, your thoughts are more than welcome in the comment section below. This has been Kevin with the Rogue Market. Thanks for watching.